Need to purchase the best climbing slings and runners for your trad climbing adventures? Our expert advice will help, as we've purchased and tested over 30 different slings in the past 9 years. This review includes 12 of the best and most popular choices available today, which can be used for extending protection to reduce rope drag, building and equalizing anchors, and even as threads or slung horns for protection. Our climbing testers have put these slings to the test on giant alpine routes in the Bugaboos, huge classic multi-pitch routes in red rocks, and on many fun days on the rocks in between, assessing and rating them along the way for optimal performance. Read on for the best recommendations. The first product on our list is Mammut Contact Dyneema. The Mammut Contact Sling is the best overall climbing sling because it combines a winning combination of minimal bulk, super low weight, easy deployment, and comfortable handling. It is made from Dyneema, known for being the strongest fiber on Earth, and pound for pound significantly stronger than steel. The tubular shape of its webbing means it can be a mere 8 mm wide yet still provide the same 22 kN strength rating of the thinnest flat webbing that checks in at 10 mm. It's also the lightest sling in this review, weighing a measly 19 grams. Due to its slim dimensions, we found that this sling slides through carabiners easier than any other model, which allowed us to triple it up into an alpine quickdraw with minimal hassle. This performance is aided in part by the low-profile stitching that used to connect the two ends to make the sling. Of course, we discovered a few downsides to this low-profile sling as well. Due to its incredible thinness, we find that any knot tied into the sling has a propensity to weld itself together very tightly when weighted, which can make them quite hard to untie. Like all Dyneema slings, tying knots in the sling greatly reduces its strength. Dyneema is also inelastic, so climbers need to be extra careful not to load the sling statically, or the forces generated may compromise the sling itself or whatever protection it is attached to. These concerns, however, are easily mitigated by attentive use, and we believe the benefits of Dyneema far outweigh the drawbacks. Since climbing is a game of getting you and your stuff up tall cliffs and mountains, having the lightest, smallest, and best performing gear seems to only make that task easier and more enjoyable. That's why we recommend the Mammut Contact Sling as our favorite choice. The second product in our list is Black Diamond Nylon Sewn Runner. In the battle between Nylon and Dyneema for the best material for climbing slings, Nylon has a few notable advantages. The most obvious is the fact that it is far more affordable than Dyneema, which is one of many reasons why the Black Diamond Nylon Sewn Runner is an ideal choice for budget-conscious climbers. This sling retails for less than half the price of some of the others in this review, so if you are purchasing a set of slings that will get you to the top of a route in the Red Rocks or Yosemite, the cash saved could be significant, or at least enough for pizza and beer after your successful climb. Another advantage of nylon is that it dynamically stretches up to 30% when weighted in a fall. While the rope usually supplies its own dynamic properties regardless of which type of fibers make up your climbing slings, it never hurts to have extra shock absorption built into your climbing systems. This elasticity also makes nylon a safer choice for anchor attachment, whether aid climbing or in any situation where there is the potential to fall directly onto a piece without a rope to absorb some of the force. Nylon, of course, has its downsides as well, or we would have never seen such a deluge of Dyneema slings flood onto the market. The main negatives are that in order to meet the minimum strength requirements for slings, 22 kilonewtons, a lot more nylon is needed than the much stronger Dyneema. Nylon slings, therefore, are wider, bulkier, and heavier than Dyneema and some other fibers. These attributes compound when it comes to performance because with more material, there is more friction when passing the sling through a carabiner, making nylon slings slightly harder to triple up into alpine quickdraws or untie once a knot has been weighted. These drawbacks do matter, but only you can decide how much when weighing it against the price savings. After all, climbers have been climbing awesomely rad objectives for at least the last 50 years using nylon slings and a lot of other antiquated equipment. For the average climber, A few nylon slings on the rack to complement a larger amount of Dyneema ones can only add versatility, while a budget-conscious climber should be just fine going with only nylon. The next product is Metolius open loop sling. Although double-length slings are most commonly used to extend pieces of protection while on lead to reduce rope drag, quadruple or even longer slings are sometimes used to equalize multiple protection pieces into a secure anchor. On a multi-pitch climb, it's common for each climber to carry 1 to 2 extra long slings for this purpose, and from our testing, we think the Metolius 11mm open loop sling offers the best array of attributes to be an ideal anchor sling. While all Dyneema slings are joined with a small amount of nylon on the edges to give color and suppleness, the 11mm open loop sling features a more equal balance of the two, which gives it some elastic stretch while still featuring the strength-to-weight ratio of Dyneema. It comes in a wide selection of different widths and lengths, making it easier to choose exactly what size sling you prefer for building your anchors. We tested the 11mm wide, 120 cm long version, and thought it was one of the very best performers when it comes to tying and untying knots that have been weighted, which is a very critical consideration for an anchor building sling. There are a few downsides to this sling, mainly that tying knots in a sling, which is common when building equalized anchors, reduces the strength of the sling. However, considering that the sling is rated to forces of 22 kilonewtons, roughly equal to 4,945 pounds, it is hard to conceive of a situation where a sling of even slightly reduced strength would be compromised. Other small downsides are the fact that it is a bit thicker than other slings we tested that are also 11mm wide, making it slightly bulkier, and it also has a slightly rougher edge to it than the tubular design of the Blue Water Titan sling, another solid choice for anchor building. In the end, however, these concerns are far outweighed by the ease of untying knots and the myriad of choices, not to mention the very reasonable price, which makes this the ideal choice for your anchor building needs. The next product is Edelrid Aramid cord sling. Climbing slings are most often used to extend pieces of protection while leading, whether bolts, cams, or nuts. Another usage, however, is using slings as protection themselves. Slings can be tied around horns, hitched to trees, or threaded through holes. The best sling that we've tested for this purpose is the Edelrid Aramid cord sling. Rather than being made of flat or tubular webbing, this sling is 6mm cord made with Aramid fibers, more commonly known by the brand name Kevlar. These strong fibers have very high abrasion resistance, which make them ideal for a sling to wrap over sharp edges. Their stiff, almost rigid, handling is in stark contrast to the floppy and supple feeling of most slings, so they're easier to thread or place one-handed while keeping a grip on the rock. Add to that Aramid's high heat resistance, something not found with Dyneema or nylon slings, and these can also serve as a great rappel backup or prusik cord should you need one in an emergency. The downsides to these slings are that they are a bit bulkier and heavier than normal slings. The rigidity, combined with the rather large thermo-molded covering over the sewn ends, means you can't just crumple them into a ball to toss in the pack. It also means that they aren't as low profile of the harness when you have them tripled up into an alpine quick draw. And like Dyneema slings, they have very little dynamic stretch. These are small prices to pay for the enhanced versatility. Although we were rebuffed in our attempts to fund a testing trip to the Italian Dolomites, they have been designed with this style of climbing in mind, traditionally protected limestone where the rock can be very sharp, and pocket or two for threads are plentiful. For those of us in the States, slinging horns and chicken heads on the granite of the Lower Merced in Yosemite or the domes of Cochise Stronghold could be ideal uses. They would also be a quick solution for V-thread anchors on multi-pitch ice climbs where their rigidity would make threading nice and fast. The next product in our list is Beal Dynamic Sling. It is very common while multi-pitch climbing to clip into the belay using a sling, or to use a sling to clip oneself into a rappel anchor on the way down while you pull the ropes to rig the next rappel. We have done this literally thousands of times, usually with Dyneema slings, because that's normally what we have on hand. But for anyone who does this, we recommend watching this extremely informative and sobering video made by DMM. The takeaway is that with just a little bit of slack in the system, a small fall can generate catastrophic forces that are capable of snapping a sling, especially if there is a knot tied in it. To reduce this possibility, you can clip into the anchor using the rope or use the Beal dynamic sling. This sling is a sewn piece of 8.3 mm climbing rope that offers the shock-absorbing properties of a normal rope, making it ideal for tethering into the anchor. Beal has tested this sling for greater than 20 factor 1 falls and greater than 8 factor 2 falls, which is an enormous number more than an ordinary Dyneema sling could withstand, roughly 1 factor 1 or 0 factor 2 falls. So, whether you're rappelling, clipping in for just a moment while the belay device is switched so you can lead, or are leading in blocks, tethering in using the Beal dynamic sling should be safer than using a Dyneema or nylon sling for the same purpose. The downside to this sling is that it is far bulkier and heavier than a normal sling. We found it to be too bulky to easily triple up into an alpine quick-draw, so we had to carry it over the shoulder or tied in a knot on the harness. The spot where the two ends are sewn together is also quite large and doesn't easily slide through carabiners. Basically, this is not a sling we would buy simply to use as a normal sling, but we think that it is a versatile choice for use while clipping into anchors. Thanks for watching and hope you liked it. As always, all the links about the products will be in the description below, so if you want to find the best prices, and more information that we might not get a chance to mention in the video, be sure to check them out.